I can think of an emergent literacy success that sort of begins to move a child into conventional literacy. We were working in a preschool classroom serving children on the autism spectrum. One little boy, a 3-year-old, had an interest in print, hadn't shown us lots of convention, didn't seem to recognize letters. He wasn't a kid who spoke, but had an interest. If we read books with him, he was very interested. When we brought writing tools into the play center, he was really interested. We used to do an activity called Sign In, and kids would write their name. I'd show up in the classroom to do reading and writing activities with them, and they would sign in. They would attempt to write their name. So in most cases, that meant they scribbled all over the paper. One day I brought in letter stamps, and Josh, before I had a chance to lay them out, I was getting everything else set up. Josh grabbed the J and the O and the S and the H, and he stamped J-O-O-S-S-H. And then he grabbed the exclamation point and did that. I'm not sure he knew what that meant. But that was a left to right, and clearly something he understood, not necessarily something he had learned. But what happened after he did that was he then said J-O-O-S-S-H. Nobody knew that he could talk. His teachers had told us he couldn't talk. His mothers told us he couldn't talk. So there's a kid that the ability to read and write actually led into more conventional communication. So his speaking followed his use of print.
The success story that I always go back to is my friend Jordan. Jordan is now a man in his mid-30s. He was the first student that I ever worked with in the capacity of research. And when I first met him, he was 11 years old, has severe cerebral palsy, has pretty significant cortical visual impairments, can't use speech to communicate, was the proud owner of a brand new Dynavox dynamic display communication device that he could not use yet. He was still working on a really consistent yes-no, and loved being around other people. Like, that was the thing. He was highly motivated by social interactions. Over the course of the next 8 years, so met him when he was 11, he has an amazing team led by a mom who is a very skilled special education teacher and assistive technology specialist. And having those the combination of those skills in a mom was a really good thing. Jordan got quality emergent literacy instruction for about 3 years. He was fully included in a general education classroom, and so that emergent literacy instruction happened in the context of general education 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classrooms. People figured out how to have him engage in reading and listening with when other kids were reading for the purpose of interacting. People were working on helping him learn letters and sounds and how to use those letters and sounds to start doing some spelling. He was using his Dynavox with word prediction to start doing some writing every day. Fast forward to the point when he is 17 and gonna finish high school and continue working on learning, but do it through a homeschool opportunity. He's a reader and a writer. I went to his graduation party, and he had created a whole display that was his memories that he wanted to share with all of his friends and teachers who would be coming. And the thing that he prepared special for me was this book that he had made, which was the first time that he was able to show the world that he was a reader and a writer. And it was a book about a frog, from a tadpole to a frog. And that experience when he was 11 or 12 years old was profound enough that that was on his display with a message that he wrote as a much more literate 17, 18-year-old that said, I wrote with Karen my first book. He now is the director of a documentary about old-time music in North Carolina that is making the circuit on documentaries. And you don't know that it's someone who has disabilities until the very end, when you see him in the end of the documentary going up on stage. And he is now traveling all over the Southeast and is a good enough communicator that he's going up on stage afterwards and answering people's questions live as they're asking them. Pretty dramatic change. And the name of the documentary is Broadcast, A Man in His Dreams, and you gotta see it.